The Met is one of the most glamorous nights of the year. I actually live in New York City and I can attest to that. I mean, anyone who is anyone in the wealthy slash celebrity space is there. Anyone ranging from the fashion industry, the Kardashians, sports icons, those people. And tickets reportedly go for $35,000 a pop. So why was she even there? What was AOC's reasoning behind attending the event?
Well, in that Instagram post, she wrote that she was there somewhat providing constituent services, dealing with New York political officials' responsibility for overseeing the city's cultural institutions. And, one of the watchdogs we talked to said, that's crap, basically. Like, constituent services is helping a nonprofit apply for a grant or something along those lines. But that is a good question. What was she doing there? Looking through the photos and of people who've attended the Met over the years. In the Maloney report, there were a couple exhibits that showed guest lists of government officials. Congress people don't go. They do invite the mayor, members of the city council, some other local officials, but it's very rare to see a congressperson there. I went through I think it was 182 pictures that Vogue posted of 2021 attendees and on the red carpet. And the only other congressperson there was Maloney. And going back through searches of didn't find anything. The only other active lawmaker I found to have attended was Hillary Clinton in 2001. And that's it. And, I asked AOC's people, I asked the Met if they could provide me the names of any other Congress people who've attended, and they couldn't. I reached out to New York lawmakers. The ones that responded also said they hadn't been there.
A funny sidebar of you reaching out to people is you reached out to the congressman who has been in hot water recently, George Santos. What has he said?
Sure. So, it was an interesting question to ask, not just Representative Santos, but the other members of New York congressional delegation who are freshmen, because they wouldn't have been members of Congress when there was a previous Met Gala. But I asked anyways, just to see if they've ever been invited, if they've been invited this year, if invited, would they accept? And Representative Santos's office got back to me saying that if Ms. Wintour was to invite him, he would accept as long as he could bring Bowen Yang as his date. Bowen Yang famously plays Representative Santos on Saturday Night Live.
Was this a joke or serious?
I will reach out to Bowen Yang and find out what his opinion is.
Great. And what is the response when members of Congress go to these types of events, specifically the Met, because only AOC and Carolyn Maloney went?
Right. And the Met Gala really stands out compared to other events. I mean, Donald Trump, for example, had a fundraiser at Kentucky Derby. And, as a Louisvillian for several years, Derby is our Met Gala. And it certainly attracts all sorts of celebrities. Tom Brady's a regular. But, Trump had this event and lawmakers went, and you didn't see the outcry over who went there, who paid for it, who paid for their hat or anything like that. So, could be another matter that the ethics committee might want to look at.
And AOC
but it does not compare to the Met Gala. Sorry.
Sure, no. AOC did say she was invited. So is this considered a gift as well? Because like we said, it's $35,000 reportedly to get in there.
It could be. There's certainly some ways they can get invited to events like this. There is a charitable event exception to the gift rule that allows them to be invited by a charity and accept it. One of the issues here, though, and that's been questioned by a government watchdog, is who actually invited her? Was it the Met Gala or was it Condé Nast, which puts it on? I mean, Anna Wintour runs the event, and Condé Nast employs a lobbyist. So did she get invited by the Met's Costume Institute, a nonprofit, or did the invite actually come from Condé Nast? And even if the invite did say, was on Met Gala letterhead, is that still legit, or is that just an easy way to cover it up by, sending an invite to an expensive event that a firm that lobbies is throwing, but having it on nonprofit letterhead? The equivalent that this watchdog gave me was it would be as if the National Football League Players Association, a nonprofit, was throwing a big party at the Super Bowl and invited lawmakers down there, for its fundraiser at a suite, on the 50-yard line.
Got it. And To put this into context for people, you always break down what this is like. Is this a slap on the wrist, something more serious? Will she be able to just dust this off?
The ethics committee famously does not like to reprimand its own. The committee is made up of an equal member of Democrats and Republicans. They did issue sanctions on Madison Cawthorn as he was on his way out the door, but he wasn't really that well liked on Capitol Hill anyway after his comment about orgies and cocaine. And he was on his way out, so he wasn't going to be returning, so he wasn't a colleague. I'm not sure what's going to happen, if anything. One of the watchdogs I spoke with said, they famously do not like to reprimand their colleagues and friends. So we'll see. I don't think there'd be anything serious. She might be she might be forced to repay the cost of some of the what she took. That would be what Madison Cawthorn was hit for. They found he had ill-gotten gains, so they made him repay what they determined he should not have taken home. So they may go ahead and say that AOC should have to pay for a dress rental, hairstyling, and all of that sort of stuff. But we'll see. We'll get the report in about a month after the committee meets for the first time. But even then, we may not have a resolution into what consequences she'll face, if any.
Looking to the next Met Gala, do we think that we could see any lawmakers on the carpet the next time? Her with a loud dress, anyone similar?
Well, I mean, maybe George Santos and Bowen Yang, that would certainly turn heads. I would say no. I think if you're a congressperson, you'd look at what's happened here and want to stay away from it. That said, some of the ones I responded to said, if they were invited, they'd consider it. That is one of the options that members of Congress have, is that when they get invitations to events like this, they can ask up front for guidance from the ethics committee and say, hey, I was invited to this. Like, is this legit? What can I do? What can I do? I asked the AOC spokesperson if she had taken those steps, and they didn't answer that. They said due to the investigation, they were going to not discuss it other than to say that they had cooperated with it. So that's certainly an option. I mean, if I were a member of Congress and I was invited, which neither of those will ever happen, I would go to the ethics committee and, I'd be at their place every day saying, all right, here's what I got invited to. Run this, let me run this by you and see what your thoughts are. So it's a possibility, but it seems remote.
Yeah, I would be in there every day as well. It sounds like an easy cheat sheet for members of Congress. So, they don't find themselves at the center of conversations like we're having here.
Exactly.
Zach Everson, thank you so much.
Thank you, Brittany.